Hi everyone, I'm Karina Judith Mata Ortega. Estoy muy feliz de estar aquí con ustedes hoy, aunque sea virtualmente. I didn't want to record this video. I wish that I was telling you the story in person, and I wish that I had the ability to be here, be present, and listen to your stories. I am a great believer in the power of storytelling. Aside from my role at Adelante Mujeres Clínica Esperanza as office administrator, I also have my own small business called The Universe of Design, where I help small business owners tell their stories, connect with their audiences, and serve in my mission of helping people become the owners of their own labor. I believe that stories are meant to be told, to be heard, and when we withhold our stories from the masses, we're only depriving them of the opportunity to get to know us and to get to see our perspective. I have always been one to talk, very hyperverbal, and that has both served me and hurt me in many ways. And I'm here now from Mexico, recording this from Hillsboro, Oregon. But if you are watching this video right now, I am likely still in Mexico, as I left the country on August 29th for the first time in 23 years for my consular processing appointment. I really wish that I was back in time for this event. I didn't want to have to record this video because I wanted to do this in person and I wanted to hear your stories and learn about y'all. But I'm here. Living in the moment, grateful that I get to be in this special room at Clínica Esperanza. And I guess my journey will continue. Not sure if it will be back in the United States as I hope for, because my whole life is here. This is home. So when I learned about this event being called A Long Journey Home, it really, I had to sit with it because I had to question, what is home? Home is something that my husband and many others might consider, going back home. You have a childhood home, you have a home that you grew up in that you can go back and visit. And I'm very happy for those of you who got to experience that. But I didn't have that. I had a lot of homes, a lot of houses, a lot of apartments. I moved so much. But that was just one part of the intrinsities that come with being an undocumented youth in the United States. Maybe not everyone had to move so much, but we were often forced to migrate from apartment complex to apartment complex, from city to city. And in total, I went to about 16 schools growing up. 16. That's a lot. That's a school every year, sometimes 2 schools a year, transition, and that was just very difficult. That is not a unique story, unfortunately. I've met so many people, so many of my students from my previous job, in which I led as a program director of a nonprofit that served youth and educating them about civics and the impact that they make in their communities. Whenever my students were identifying issues in their community, they were like, oh, well, I don't know where my community is. Like, oh, well, where did you grow up? They're like, oh, well, I grew up here, I grew up there, and so many different neighborhoods, so many different schools, so they themselves couldn't identify where is home. And when you're a kid, you deal with that imbalance, that uncertainty, but that really has huge impacts on our lives. It has impacts on our ability to trust, to let ourselves be, to just exist and build fundamental relationships that are necessary, and like these social skills that I actually got the opportunity to build over and over again with every transition. Along with every transition came the fear, the identity crisis, because I'm thinking like, which identity am I going to show? What will be accepted? What didn't work out last time? There's a lot of trial and error. However, with every transition, one thing that was always, I guess, home to me was the school library. And that just makes this even more special, because libraries are so important. There's so many stories. There's so much traveling that I encountered through within the pages of a book. I would read about 10 books at a time, little by little, page by page, and my backpack was very heavy, and maybe that's why I have back problems. But libraries were always a safe space for me. In every library there was the librarian with the colored hair and the you're safe here stickers, and they had just the most eccentric personalities that just drew me in. They offered me tea, they offered me snacks, they really made it feel like home in every library, at every school, regardless of the district, of the city, of the town. There was always a librarian there. And when I was a kid, I even considered being a librarian until I heard how much they got paid. And it wasn't so great, which we should be advocating for librarians to get paid more. It's so important to me that we continue to understand the impact that libraries have on communities, and of the people that live within the communities. Because with all those transitions, I could have easily gone a completely different route. Decided to skip school. I could have decided to make so many bad decisions. But the books, the librarian, the tea drew me in. Every single day before I went to class, I had breakfast in the library. I actually have many librarians from my childhood that I'm friends with on Facebook now, and I'm just so happy that I'm so honored to be able to speak and tell my story in a library. So it's been a long journey. Yeah, so if you're seeing this, I'm still in Mexico. I probably already said that, but I don't want to accept that. I don't want to accept that as a reality, and it's hard. It's hard to consider that my entire life I've lived it here. In September of 2001, I went on a journey. I went on a journey here, on a journey towards Dallas, Texas. It was actually about September 10th when we made it to the United States of 2001. I recall, I can just close my eyes and go back to that moment. I was sitting in the edge of a room, and there was many other people, and it was so dark, and there was moonlight shining through the windows. Everyone was scared, and we were all told to be quiet, and I just wanted to cry because I didn't know what was going on. We had just gone through rivers, we had just through the Rio Grande, we went through deserts, we went on a train. There was so much confusion, so much constant shift, and I just wanted to cry. And I heard another little girl cry. She was sitting across the room with her dad, and it made me want to cry more, but I couldn't. I had to hold it in to keep us safe, because we were told that if someone hurt us, then they would, call immigration and we would have to start all over again. And I was always one to overanalyze and understand, and I was scared, so I didn't cry and I held it back. And that's something I've carried with me for a long time, the impact of that. And wow, that is something I've carried for a while. But that was on September 10th of 2001, like when I entered. So we were in the safe house on September 11th, and we all know what happened then. I was too young to comprehend, but if we had gone back to Mexico, because we considered it, well, my grandmother considered it because someone who was with us was injured. But no, we kept going. And if we had gone back, then we wouldn't have been able to make it in, because after 9/11, the borders were on complete shutdown. Chaos. Like the border was chaos. There was so much surveillance. And after then, it was so much harder for people to come to the United States legally or undocumented. It was very difficult. There was so much more surveillance at the border. There was much less availability of like visa applications. It just got so much harder. So I'm glad that we kept going forward, because my life would have been completely different. By being in the United States, while I did, have a lot of disadvantages, I had many advantages. I got access to public educations, actually 16 different public educations. I had access to libraries that had thousands of books and thousands of stories to read and live, because I'm a very hypervisual person. I have had the opportunity to get on planes. Like, I've been on so many planes. When I was a kid, I thought I would never be on a plane. I thought I could never do it. But even with my Mexican passport, I've been able to fly. There's been so many things that I've been able to do in my lifetime that little Judith would be so proud of. I got to go to college. I got a full ride. I got to go to the dentist for the first time when I was 19 years old, actually. I wish I had gone sooner. It would have been a lot more affordable. But like many other undocumented youth in this country, we can't access health benefits. In the state of Texas, specifically where I grew up, there was no opportunity for us to get health benefits. In the state of Oregon now, thankfully, children qualify for health insurance, even if they're undocumented. But in Texas, there wasn't that opportunity. Even as I grew up, I couldn't even purchase my own health insurance, not even privately. Like, the only way that an undocumented person could get health insurance or any type of benefits was through like a spouse. Like, that was it. Or sometimes like Parkland Health Plan, who has helped my family significantly over this last decade. But there wasn't many options, and I know that my parents wish that they could take me to the dentist. They couldn't afford it. It's so expensive and inaccessible. So by the time that I went into the dentist's office for the first time as a 19-year-old, I had so many cavities. I had so many root canals that had to be done. I had teeth that were extracted, and that was all preventable. It's so unjust that children, that just people, that human beings are left without the opportunity to access health benefits. We should have universal health care. We should have universal public education and public university. So I was able to access the dental plan because my husband was employed and he was able to add me as his beneficiary. Many people that are undocumented don't have that opportunity, even because then you still have to be married to a citizen to benefit from that. And yeah, so I actually didn't know that I had different, like I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility. Like I'm extremely flexible. I thought that was really cool when I was a kid. I was like, I would actually scare my grandma because I was like, I would bend over backwards and I would like walk like that and I'd scare her. She was like, oh my God. Like she got an egg and she like rubbed it all over me. She thought like me hicieron brujería o algo. But no, that was not the case. They did not do witchcraft on me that made me like that. She was just like, there's something wrong with this kid. But yeah, I was very hypermobile. I actually was diagnosed with ADHD when I was an adult. And then later with autism spectrum disorder, which I don't see it as a disorder. And autistic people do not want to be cured. Just putting it out there. But I wish I knew this. Like, and having access to medical care, it would have helped me understand myself a little bit more. And now that I do know the things that affect me and I feel the pain of the hypermobility, all of the tissue, like my it hurts, like my body hurts constantly. But I think that a lot of this pain, a lot of the mental and emotional trauma that comes along with being undocumented, the physical trauma on top of it, it could have been preventable. We just had better systems in place. Because no child should ever be left behind or left without the opportunity to access healthcare. So there is so many intersectionalities that come along with being undocumented. I've mentioned education, I've mentioned healthcare, and we think about the trauma that comes with just going to school, with applying for financial aid, which in many states, undocumented children, undocumented youth don't have like any opportunity of getting financial support for college education. So I was very fortunate that even in the state of Texas, we had TASPA, which was the Texas application for student financial aid. It was very similar to FAFSA, which is the federal application for student aid. And through TASPA, I was able to apply for state grants and then also be eligible for scholarships. I received the Presidential Jaguar Scholar at my alma mater, UNT Dallas, the University of North Texas in Dallas. And I had that opportunity to go to university. But whenever I was trying to get help on filling out my applications for my financial aid, nobody knew how to help me. Other students, we were all put in a room and had our college advisors or counselors, career counselors in high school or senior year and junior year that were guiding us and preparing us, but they were only giving information for the federal application for student aid, which was only available for residents and citizens, not for me. So I was just sitting there confused, didn't know what to do, had no idea how I was going to college, but I knew that I needed to go to college. I knew that I did not want to accept the norms of or I just didn't want to accept the cycle of of intergenerational trauma, lack of education. And I just wanted out. I didn't want to be poor for the rest of my life. I didn't want my future children to have to experience poverty, to ever have to go to bed hungry, to ever have to go to bed waiting for your mom because she has to work 2 jobs. I didn't want that for me. I didn't want that for my family. And I know that so many others are left in that situation as well. So I said, no, I am going to college. I'm going to do everything possible to go. And I did. I went to college, and I figured out how to fill out those financial aid applications on my own because nobody knew how to help me. And I thought back to a book that I read that was actually about 3 astrophysicist women, and I'm trying to remember right now. I think her name was Barbara. I will remember. Sorry for not remembering right now. But she said that the best thing about breaking barriers is that nobody after you had to break them again. I thought about my little cousins and about how they were looking up to me. They were looking at me for guidance. They said, I have to go to college, at least to set a pathway for them. So I got a full ride. I went to college. I changed my major 3 different times. Every single time it's because I wanted to help people. I did political science first because I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I changed over to communications because I'm a creative. And then I switched over again to human services management and leadership because I realized these politicians aren't doing much. And you really have to learn how to work boots on the ground to create real significant change. So I switched over to human services and thought that even if I were to pursue law, I could do it from the human service perspective. And then I thought I wanted to be a therapist. That idea is still there. I currently work at a mental health clinic, and I'm always back and forth between that. But I had access to those opportunities. I had access to the opportunities to even dream about it and to even still consider them. So I'm a firm believer that education is liberation. Nobody can take from you what you already have in here. They can't extract it from here. So my brain is a sponge. I absorb everything. Actually, people on the autism spectrum, we have the ability to retain so much more information. So I guess I am an encyclopedia of random knowledge. I have a lot of information stored in here. But I believe that education is liberation, and I liberated myself from that cycle. And I graduated a semester early, and I then was at my graduation in Dallas, and I cried so much. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it even up to the moment that, before I walked the stage. I couldn't believe it because I was just so angry. I should have been happy, but I was angry. I was angry because I had it in my mind that, yes, I did all this, all of the sacrifice, all of this job, internship, and full-time student, full-time wife, all of this for nothing. That's what I thought. I thought that I wouldn't be able to work with my degree because I didn't qualify for DACA because I moved so much. I couldn't, it was very hard for me to prove all of the time that I was here whenever the DACA application was open. So I would otherwise be eligible, fully eligible for DACA. But I didn't have a work permit, so I thought like I can't even do anything with this degree. It was infuriating. I honestly just wanted to walk out and just leave, like, esto no importa. But no, that was ridiculous, because I earned that. I earned it, every sweat, every tears, every time I wanted to give up and not pursue that high GPA. Like, I was like, no, C's get degrees. But that was never my mentality. I was never a C's get degrees type of girl. I pushed myself to the core. But it really hurt until one day I was listening to a podcast that my immigration attorney recommended me. And in the podcast, it was another immigration attorney speaking about how he did it. So I learned that I could establish an LLC called Judith Ortega Consulting. And through my LLC, I could then charge for my consulting services as a nonprofit consultant, or just a consultant in general, because I have a variety of skill sets. So through Judith Ortega Consulting, I was able to employ myself. I was able to employ myself as a marketing specialist, and communication specialist. I was able to employ myself as a nonprofit consultant. Like whenever I was the program director of Youth Revive Inc., I was a consultant, and they hired me, like, instead of me having to do a regular like E-Verify application, the W-4, I think that's it. Instead of having to fill out that document and then like lie or forge documents or anything, because a lot of people have to do that because they have to work. I was able to just work as a consultant and then invoice them for my hours, and I continued doing that, and thankfully that put food on my table, that covered our rent, and I'm so grateful that I listened to that podcast and that someone else shared their story, because then I learned how to take care of myself in that way. So Judith Ortega Consulting, it was esperanza. It was the hope I needed, and and I'm so glad that person did not gatekeep that. And I hope that if you are someone who has skill sets and you want to find a job or get employed, that you can take that information with you so that you can employ yourself and own your labor. You own your labor. So I've spoken about education, about healthcare, and I've spoken about work and the hurdles of moving so much. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about my husband, and he is very different from me. I love him so much. His name is Gerardo. I get emotional even thinking about him right now. His name is Gerardo, and I met him in high school. So I guess I'm glad that I moved so much, because I ended up finding him. We met junior year, but senior year, he took off his braces, and I noticed his beautiful smile a little bit more, and I fell in love with him. I fell in love with him, and that was almost 9 years ago. I'm so grateful for him and for his family. They have been a huge part of my healing journey, and wow, like his mom is just amazing, and yeah, she's amazing. His mom, her name is Maria, and she loves me, and I feel that love. It's like the type of love that the type of love that radiates, that you feel when you're in the same room as her, the type of love that you taste when you eat her food, the type of love that organizes your college graduation party, and that asks you, what do you want to eat? So, oh gosh, before I haven't left yet because I'm still here, but today I'm actually going to her house. I'm actually recording this video on August 28th. So I'm gonna go to her house after this and eat some tacos rojos from San Luis Potosí. I'm sure they're gonna taste really good. I love eating them. And I'm gonna eat cheese when I shouldn't be eating cheese. But yeah, I want to tell you how much I love his mom because she made him. And because of him, and through our marriage, we were able to apply for my residency, for my permanent residency. When I tell you that I've had so many blessings in my life, I mean it, because I met my immigration attorney, Marwa. She's in Dallas, Texas, and she accepts clients nationwide in case you need a good immigration attorney. I met her through another friend, and she heard my story and she offered to take on my case pro bono. And I didn't let her because I was like, no, you went to law school, like you spent all this money, like no, like student loans crazy, no, don't do it pro bono. So like she accepted my case for $1,000. Like that's all I paid her, and I want to pay her more once I have the opportunity to. But I have helped, send over people that I love, and she's helped them adjust their status and become residents as well. She's helping my grandfather fix his documents as well. She's helped my mom and helped so many other family members, but she just came into my life and changed my life. So yeah, we've been in this process for my green card since 2019. So it's been a few years now, about 5 years, and I'm finally going to make this journey. Although I only paid her $1,000, I still spent thousands of dollars in immigration processing fees. And a few months ago when Joe Biden, when he spoke about the parole in place program and announced the parole in place program, a part of me was excited and another part of me knew that it could be too good to be true, because there's always forces that are against us, and that are just so xenophobic and don't want immigrants here, even though this land was stolen from so many of us, from indigenous people across Turtle Island, now known as the Americas, like the North America, and like we're on stolen land. So yeah, the parole in place program, it's been under attack by Texas and 15 other states. So I actually was in this limbo a few weeks ago because I was very scared, very anxious about going to my consular processing appointment. Like, I have acne for the first time in 15 years. It's been a minute since I've had acne, but this is how bad my stress has been. And I thought, like, maybe I should just stay and I should just apply for the parole in place program instead. And such a hard decision. I just didn't want to be stuck again. I didn't want to be stuck between like applying for parole in place, being accepted, and then my I-601A application, which is the reason I have to go to Mexico. I didn't want that to then be canceled, and I don't know. I had a feeling that I just had to go to Mexico. Like, it had to be this way. Like, this is how it was planned. But I even texted my lawyer several times. You know what? I don't want to go anymore. Let's just do the other thing. But my intuition and my husband's intuition told us, no, we have to just go now, because we don't want to risk being in that limbo that I was with my DACA application. We just didn't want to be stuck. We didn't want to submit the application and then something not work out and then still have to do consular processing and possibly do it or continue with that process during a Trump administration. That's scary. That's terrifying, even more terrifying than going through with it now. So I leave tomorrow on August 29th. I hope that you don't even have to watch this video if I am back in time for me to tell my story in person. I believe that is what will happen. I really want that to be what happens. But I also understand that, like, I understand how grants work. And the library was very generous, was fortunate to receive this grant through the hard work done by our librarians here in the North Plains Library of Washington County. And this has to be fulfilled. So I'm gonna stop now because I want more people to share their stories and tell me, like, tell us, how do you relate to some of the topics that I discussed here? How is there anything that you can do by sharing your story to help someone else feel at ease? Because I hope that at least this story brought you some ease. But I will be back eventually. And even if I'm not back, I know that I'll be okay. I know that I will thrive wherever I go. I really wish that I could keep thriving here in Oregon because I just moved here in February and I love it here so much. I feel at home in Oregon. I want to start my family in Oregon. I want to raise my kids here. I want them to see snow. I want to buy a house here. I have so many dreams and wishes that I want to experience. I want to continue helping other people heal through storytelling, through my job at the mental health clinic, through my business and helping other entrepreneurs heal from their corporate trauma. And I want to come back. That is the plan. And if that plan doesn't go as planned, I'm gonna be okay. So thank you so much for listening to my story here. I hope that it helps you on your long journey home. And I hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Thank you.